Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. A week ago today, March 22nd, 2017, there was the false flag terror attack in London. It was on the 1 year anniversary of the false flag terror attacks in Belgium. This year and last year, a number of channels that put out truth related videos, they said, there it is, March 22nd, 322, Skull and Bones. And for any of you who follow the information that's put out, you heard a lot of people make this claim 322 Skull and Bones. I want people to have more knowledge about this number and to understand that 322 is the number that the Masonic Order Skull and Bones at Yale identifies by, but to realize that 322 is a lot bigger than Skull and Bones. It has to do with Freemasonry and the history of Freemasonry, as well as mathematics. A week ago, in London, during the false flag, this big red helicopter was on display. Look at what's on the base of this helicopter. London Freemasons. Also, you can make out the Freemason compass and square. The compass for the Freemason logo is set at 47 degrees and the square is 90. That's 137 degrees of angles. If you take that number from the degrees in a circle, 360, you get 223, the reflection of 322, which is the way the date, March 22nd, can be expressed. In the US, we write it 3/22. In the UK, they write it 22/3. 223, very important number to Freemasonry. 322, the reflection, having the same meaning in numbers. Also notice on this helicopter, it said G and then essentially London. G is what's in the middle of the Freemason compass and square. This is a Masonic symbol, this helicopter, coded many different ways over. So what we're going to talk about now is the greater significance of 322 and 223 throughout history. And just understand, what we cover in this video, it's just some of the information. There's always more out there. So first we're going to look at Adam Weishaupt. This was the man credited with establishing the Bavarian Illuminati, which is Freemasonic, on the date of May 1st, 1776. The Bavarian Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt would die at the age of 82 on November 18th, 1830, a very specific date, the 322nd day of the year. 322, he died 2 years before Skull and Bones was established. Skull and Bones would be set up in 1832 at Yale and would take the address 322. Adam Weishaupt dead on the 322nd day, 2 years before Yale existed. And as you'll see, 322 goes back thousands of years to the Greeks. My point is just to show that even before Yale, 322 was significant. The Bavarian Illuminati established May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution. The day he died, the 322nd day of the year, was a date with 77 numerology, as well as 41, as well as 23, as well as 59. All of these numbers, very relevant. We're going to focus on 77, and then we'll touch on 41 in a moment. His birth name was Johann Adam Weishaupt. He went by Adam Weishaupt, his first name Johann. Gematria of 77, his full name, just like secret society, just like the date numerology of the day he died. And the Bavarian Illuminati is often credited with the French Revolution for instigating the French Revolution, which followed the American Revolution, but realize it was established just before the American Revolution. Think about the relationship with France and the United States and the formation of the country. His name sums to 77, like secret society, like United States, and also like United States of America. These are all relevant gematria ciphers to the English language. The reduced and the reverse reduced, both based on the alphabetic order. His name and secret society 77. He's known for establishing one of the most famous or infamous secret societies, the Bavarian Illuminati. With regards to the United States of America, Washington, D.C., its capital is on the 77th meridian. Very relevant to the nation. The federal headquarters. Skull and Bones, the secret society that identifies through 322, is known for putting people in powerful positions, including the White House. The two most recent known Skull and Bones members to be presidents were George W. Bush and George H.W. Bush. Again, Adam Weishaupt died November 18th, which is the 322nd day of the year, leaving 43 days remaining. Yale is where Skull and Bones is located, that identifies by 322. Yale sums to 43. And think about that. November 18th, the 322nd day of the year, leaving 43 days remaining. The last Skull and Bones member in the White House was George W. Bush, who was the 43rd president who went to Yale. Yale sums to 43 and 2 ciphers. George H.W. Bush was the 41st president. Skull and Bones sums to 41. His grandfather, Prescott Bush, was a member of Skull and Bones. U.S. Senator. So anyhow, 322 Yale, November 18th. Adam Weishaupt dead 2 years before the establishment of Yale. With regards to the name he went by, Adam Weishaupt, that has gematria 51, like conspiracy, also like Freemason. The Bavarian Illuminati was established May 1st, or 5/1 as we write it in the U.S. Think about it. Masonic order. Freemason and conspiracy also have overlap in gematria. Freemason also sums to 147, like conspiracy, in the same method. President of the United States sums to 147. The first recognized president, George Washington, 33rd degree Freemason. 147 windows in the White House, not by coincidence. Tribute to Freemasonry. Remember, Washington, D.C. is built with the streets at the same angles as the Freemason compass and square. Very Masonic. Also, Adam Weishaupt, this conspiracy connection, his initials are A.W. A's the first letter, W's the 23rd. So 1, 2, 3. Kind of like 123. Conspiracy with the alphabetic order, also 123. Let's take a second to watch this clip. This is from 2004 when Bush and Kerry were running for president of the United States. Bush defending his first term as the Republican, John Kerry as the Democratic challenger, both members of Yale's Skull and Bones, a secret society that allows 15 new members a year. By the way, that date, May 1st, can be written 1/5, the date the Bavarian Illuminati was established. Remember, that was Masonic, so is Skull and Bones. Let's watch this clip. This is Meet the Press. Tim Russert is the man doing the interviewing. We're going to talk about Tim Russert's death, who asked this question of Bush and Kerry. Check this out.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the website. Number 322?
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look for... Are you prepared to lose? No, I'm not going to lose. You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322? Secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it. And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us.
So that was Tim Russert, who asked Bush and Kerry both about being in Skull and Bones and running for president. You know, they said that Tim Russert died at 2:23 p.m. at the age of 58. And with regards to his death at 58 and asking Bush, the sitting president, about that, show you something real interesting here about 58. We're talking about Freemasonry, secret societies, coded numbers. Tim Russert died at 58. Freemasonry equals 58. So does secret society. So does George W. Bush. George W. Bush. George W. Named in tribute to George Washington, the Freemason. Tim Russert dead at 58 at 2:23 in the afternoon while on vacation with his son. We're going to talk about annuit coeptus in a moment, so you should know that annuit coeptus, which is on the dollar bill under the very Illuminati symbolism, annuit coeptus sums to 58. Remember Secret Society 77? They were just talking about John Kerry. Kerry, also a name with that 77 and 58 gematria. George W. Bush, John Kerry. So Skull and Bones, since 1832. 1832, 2 years after the death of Adam Weishaupt, located at Yale. Again, we talked about how November 18th, the 322nd day, leaving 43 days remaining. Bush, the 43rd president. Did you know that George H.W. Bush was also the 43rd vice president and Jeb was the 43rd governor of California? So check this out. The man who co-founded the trust that manages the business funds of Skull and Bones, his name is Daniel Gilman. Co-founder of the Russell Trust Association, which administers the business affairs of Yale Skull and Bones. Look at his name, Daniel Gilman, 223. Just like Skull and Crossbones, which is the symbol of Skull and Bones, which identifies through 322. So 223 comes back to Masonry. Masonic 223, the Synagogue of Satan 223. It says in Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, the false Jews known as the Synagogue of Satan will rule in the end times. Freemasonry, based in the history of the Old Testament, the Jewish part of the Bible, concerned with Solomon's temple, ancient Israel's history. There's an overlap between Freemasonry and Judaism. With regards to George W. Bush, the last member of Skull and Bones and the Synagogue of Satan, Bush became president at age 55. In 2001, he was born July 6, 1946, a date with 33 numerology, just like the gematria Bonesman. He graduated from Skull and Bones 33 years before becoming president in 2001. So to go way back with 322, the Freemasons, they have the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. The Freemasons are builders. Euclid, the Greek mathematician, considered to be the father of geometry. Euclid of Alexandria sums to 322. 322. And just real quick, that number, 322, 3 plus 2 plus 2 equals 7. The Freemason compass and square is the big G, which is the 7th letter. 7 is the 4th prime number. 4 and 7, numbers of foundation, numbers of completeness. Again, Freemasonry is about building. These numbers related to mathematics and building. Euclid of Alexandria, very important to Freemason history. Pythagoras, Euclid out of Greece. Pythagoras, said to be one of the earliest Freemasons. Notice Greece sums to 43. Like how Yale's 43, and they identify by 322 Skull and Bones. That very well could be your root of 322. Masonic also has the gematria 43. Adam Weishaupt, to establish the Bavarian Illuminati. In case you didn't catch it, Adam Weishaupt was born in the year 48, 1748. February 6th, 1748. The word Illuminati has gematria 48, and the number 223, 223, is the 48th prime. You know, dead on the 322nd day of the year was Adam Weishaupt. Reflections of each other. Again, we talked about how the 223 comes out of the degrees of a circle. The day Adam Weishaupt was born was a date with 28 numerology, a perfect number. Look up what perfect numbers are. They're very rare. 28 is one of few. The word man has gematria of 28. Adam Weishaupt was 28 years old when he established the Bavarian Illuminati, having 28 birth numerology. The date of establishment for the Bavarian Illuminati, when he was just 28, was May 1st, 1776, a date with 99 numerology. When you write out 13, it sums to 99. When you write out the United States of America, it sums to 99. This establishment came just before the creation of the United States of America. They say that the Bavarian Illuminati was established with 13 original founding families. 13. Think about the U.S. flag, 13 stripes, 13 colonies. Part of an ongoing Masonic agenda by the numbers. The day Adam Weishaupt died was also a date with 41 numerology, which is the 13th prime number. Again, skull and bones, 41. George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president. Here's the degrees of the compass, the 47 degrees, the 90 degrees of the square, 137 degrees surrounding the big G. The 47 degrees come back to the tropics, which are 47 degrees apart that measure time. Time in gematria sums to 47 using the alphabetic order. Again, the 47th problem of Euclid, foundation equals 47, framework, authority. This 47 degrees, it's even put into the pyramid next to Annuit Coeptus, this Illuminati symbolism, the illuminated at the top, the all-seeing eye. Talked about how Annuit Coeptus sums to 58 and 77. Let's talk about the denominations of US dollar bills in light of the Bavarian Illuminati. The bills that we have are a 1, a 2, a 5, a 10, a 20, a 50, and a 100. And if you add that together, it sums to 188. 188, just like Bavarian Illuminati is 188. Show you something else about that. Do you see how it's also 127? That's the 31st prime number, and 31, of course, is the reflection of 13. You see? But the U.S. bill denominations with the Illuminati symbolism sum to $188, not by coincidence. It's all symbolic. It's all mathematics. So to go back in history for another example of 322, this is outside of the United States. This is the UK. We're going to talk about the story of Dick Turpin, character remembered for being put to death for thieving horses. Legendary character, even increased in popularity by authors who've written about him and fictionalized his story in time. But real quick, before we get to this story, I want to talk about 322. 322 in the Bible. Genesis 3:22 is the 78th verse of the Bible. And in the King James Version and in the New International Version, the different wording, they both sum to 322, the verses. And this is Genesis 3:22, this special number. In the King James Version, and the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And the New International Version, and the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Both 3:22, Genesis 3:22. Genesis has gematria of 78, and Genesis 3:22 is the 78th verse. Genesis means birth. Genesis and birth share gematria of 78. Genesis also has the gematria of 33, very important to Freemasonry, like seed and birth. This verse is about knowing good and evil. Good and evil, duality, Freemasonry, the two pillars. Earlier in the Bible, Genesis 1:4, it says, God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. Good and bad, light and dark, duality. Another 3:22 coded right into the verse. And what it truly seems is that the occult leadership has purposefully steered humanity astray for the sake of their own agenda, their own greed, their own selfishness. You know, they've wanted to divide people, make people individualistic, so they're more easily ruled over. This is choosing evil over good for your own self-benefit, and perhaps this is also why they embrace these numbers and seemingly have coded certain numbers into specific verses of the Bible. About a year ago, I was talking about the Invictus Games and the emphasis on "I am the master of my fate," that phrase with the 223 gematria from the William Henley poem. I am the master of my fate. Think about that in light of choosing good and evil. I am the master of my fate. So, with regards to this good and evil, now let's look at this story of Dick Turpin. His story is that on March 22nd, 322 in the year 1739, Genesis is the first of 39 books in the Old Testament. Turpin was found guilty on 2 charges of horse theft and sentenced to death. He was executed on April 7th, 4/7 or 7/4. With regards to judgment coming that day, Judge 47, Obey 47, Gavel 47, Authority 47, again the 47 degrees on the Freemason compass. That date can also be written 7/4, Masonic 74. Jury 74. You see, the verdict was in for Dick Turpin. Sentence March 22nd. Killed, executed April 7th. Now look at this. The name Richard Turpin equals 78. Genesis 3:22 about good and evil is the 78th verse of the Bible. March 22nd, it was determined that he had been evil for stealing horses. Horse theft, which he was guilty of, which he was judged for, equals 47. 47. Killed on 4/7 for horse theft. He would die 16 days after his sentencing. If you write out 16, it sums to 33, just like Genesis. Genesis also 39, first of 39 books in the Old Testament. See my work on James Madison, who made 39 proposals on a date with 39 numerology that became the 10 Bill of Rights. If you write out 10, it sums to 39. On the Tree of Life, there's 10 Sephiroth. The singular of that word has gematria of 39. There's 10 of them. In the Old Testament of 39 books, there's the 10 Commandments. 39 and 10. So anyhow, just an example from history of 322, stories by the numbers. There's a reason this story is in mainstream consciousness. Before even that, in the early days when the United States of America was forming its path to becoming a country, it was March 22nd, 1622, that the English colony was massacred. Jamestown, they said that everybody in the town was murdered. There wasn't a single witness left to see what happened. But what the authorities determined is the Indians had murdered everybody on March 22nd. And out of that story, the Indians murdering the people of Jamestown, what came out of that was this new movement. All of a sudden there was a movement to form a unique identity as English settlers living in North America. Before, people just thought themselves as, visitors from across the ocean in a foreign land. But after this, there came a call to create a new identity, and the term Virginianers came, and in that same period of time of finding an identity, so did the idea of creating an enemy and a mission. This is when the rhetoric began of killing the Native American people in the area who were now perceived as a threat because of this story of this village getting massacred. In truth, what happened is those people were probably killed, by the authority, the same authority who wanted to plant the seeds in the other people that there was a threat, that they needed to be killed, and under a new identity, they needed to expand and essentially create their own form of government, their own form of security, their own nation. The seeds of the United States of America are in native genocide that comes out of a story from March 22nd, 1622. You know? It's very much like September 11th. Creating something awful, blaming it on an enemy to carry out an agenda. And remember, George W. Bush, the Skull and Bonesman, was in the White House when that happened. Also this year, March 22nd, 2017, the date of the London news, that was the same date that they said they reopened the tomb of Jesus. If you missed my video on that, check it out. That's very interesting that they reopened the tomb of Jesus on March 22nd because 223 is a very special number in the Bible. They even say that the first published Bibles as we know them was March 22nd, 1457. The Bible's known as the Good Book, the 223, Masonic 223. In the final book of the Bible, Revelation, it says the synagogue of Satan will rule in the end times, the false Jews. That's written to the Church of Philadelphia, Philadelphia 223, like synagogue of Satan, the original capital of this nation. In Revelation, it says, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, which has the 223 coding. Think about it. Who has the understanding? The people that practice this knowledge, the Freemasons in high places. Not the masses, who this is a secret from. 322, very relevant. The first verse of the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The way the Bible begins with its March 22nd publishing date, 223. Think about how much older the Bible is than Skull and Bones. If you're one of these people, when you see the number 322, all you know to say is Skull and Bones, you're misrepresenting the number. You know, it's Freemasonry. That's what's important. Freemasonry. So let's see, Truth Seeker. We're nearly wrapped up. It's very interesting as I was finishing putting together this information on 322. Somebody just messaged this just before I started this video. You know, this comment just came through. He found this in the Quran. Chapter 2, verse 120, the Jews and the Christians will not approve of you unless you follow their creed. 322. You know what's so interesting about that? Verse 120, the word Illuminati is 120, as well as 48, as we covered earlier. We were talking about the Bavarian Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, dead on the 322nd day of the year. This comes in the second chapter, 2 equals 58, like Freemasonry, like Solomon's Temple. The 2 pillars. The first book of the Quran also has gematria of 39 like Genesis. And I've talked about the parallels before between Christianity and Islam. Jesus sums to 74 like Muhammad, like Messiah, like Cross, like Gospel, like Masonic. It's because the Freemasons have been around for a long time and they're interested in controlling people. That's why they control religion, government, money. They control the things that control people. You know? Also on March 22nd, white supremacist travels to New York City to murder black people. They said his name was James Harrison Jackson 223. White supremacist 223. This story was from March 22nd, 22/3. Talk about choosing evil over good. And regarding evil sums to 48. Again, the number 223 is the 48th prime. You know? Illuminati has the 48 connection, as well as 120. Verse 120 from the Quran, the 322 coding. Again, the Freemasons want to divide people. They want them to fight amongst themselves. They want them to blame each other. They want them to hate each other. And meanwhile, they just sit back in the shadows and benefit from the organized madness. This is what we, the people, have to wake up to, you know? We have to see what we're truly fighting against. So that's all for now, Truth Seeker. Until next time.